In 2012, you went to the doctor. You received an interesting diagnosis. What was the diagnosis?
I was diagnosed with bipolar 2, uh, which is it's manic depressive type thing. And so that was part of a lot of my problems, which um, what it basically is I have ups and downs, and the downs last for a couple of weeks. And really, it was remarkable I was getting anything done because when you're in a depressive state, you really don't have any energy or motivation. In some cases, I was really sleeping. I was literally sleeping for about 14 hours out of the day, and you feel so lazy. But and the thing is, when you feel so lazy, you get depressed, and then all you want to do is sleep, and so you get nothing done. And so it becomes a spiral. And so yeah, I realize. I mean, you just know something is wrong, and then but you feel ashamed. You don't want to do anything about it. And so that's where it really gets to be a problem, is when you start feeling shame about it. And that's unfortunately, we live in a society where we attach shame to something like depression or bipolar or any kind of psychological problem, because we brand them as lazy or stupid, or we misunderstand it. But yeah, we kind of say something like snap out of it, or just get over it, or we say something like, when it comes to suicide, as we brand them as cowards or something like that, not understanding that it's more than that. Not just We just don't understand it, where it's not a matter of willpower. It's an illness, and so it's not a matter of success or wealth or something like that. I mean, again, looking at Robin Williams, that guy had everything, and or Chris Farley, something like that. Uh, it didn't matter, you know. It was a matter of treatment and a matter of social circle and friends and stuff like that. It's a matter of reaching out and diagnosis and stuff like that. There's a lot of factors at play here. And now more than ever, I really hope those people and those incidents bring it to light that if you have a problem, or if you feel that you're going through something that isn't normal, that you need to reach out, and you need to at least kind of seek treatment, or at least talk to a doctor. And just just not even a psychiatrist necessarily. Like, if you see a doctor or something like that, just tell them what's going on and say that this doesn't seem normal to me, you know? And that's enough. And they'll tell you if it's normal or not. And it's probably not. Lots of people, have these problems. And that's the biggest problem, is that we attach shame to it, and it's hard to admit that. And there's nothing to be ashamed about. It's not your fault. It's not your fault, and that's the worst part of it. Is people think it's their fault, or that you can just snap out of it. You can't. I mean, you can't do it on your own. Sometimes you need friends and you need treatment, and that's that. I think that's the biggest myth, is that you can just snap yourself out of it, or that you're a coward or something like that.
There was a point. I have never had depression before,
Yeah.
but there was a point in my life where I realized I actually knew more people with depression than without.
Yeah.
And I was trying to get an idea of what it was like. And I remember there was one moment of time where I knew things were okay, and my mind knew it, but I didn't feel it.
Mhm.
And I didn't understand why these two were not gelling up, because I'm like, everything's good. I got a great job. Everything's fine. I think it was shortly after the bully plea, actually.
Mhm.
I was sort of seeing it as like maybe a little bit of a failure, because like I know I kept people up for so long, and people were really having a hard time getting through it.
I saw that.
And I think because of that, I really felt like, wow, I let so many people down, even though I knew like it got done, it got finished, and it's okay, and you're gonna make something great. But I just was not feeling it. And so
Yeah.
what I always hear is that it doesn't matter if you know that things are okay. If
Yeah.
you don't feel it, that's where things don't gel, and that's where
Yeah.
the big tragedy is.
Yeah, in the case of like depression or any kind of in that kind of mental illness, and I'm not saying that's what you had. Um, rationally, it doesn't matter. You can know things are fine, but that's not the problem. You can't stop the way you can't stop the way that's the way you're feeling. It's You know what I mean? It's like, okay, I know everything's fine. I know I'm doing great, like financially and emotionally, or not emotionally, but in my situation, I know everything's fine, but I can't get up. You know, I haven't gotten anything done today. Why? I can't. I can't get in front of the camera today. I just can't. I feel like crap. And then people say like, just get up, get over it, and you're like, well, now I feel worse because you're telling me I'm lazy. You're telling me get over it. I can't. And it spirals, and it doesn't help. You know what I mean? That's the worst thing you can do is to tell people just to get over it. It's snap out of you, pussy. Like because people say that. So it's because they're telling you how much better they are, and so in your case, you were under so much pressure, and things weren't going right. You know what I mean? You were juggling so many actors and so many egos, and you had such time constraints. I think you were burned out.
Oh, sure. I mean, and yeah, I didn't want to get on that. Like, I had depression. Well, no, I wouldn't know if I was.
No, I know
that. But certainly the idea that
same effect.
Yeah, that these two things that usually go together are not going together, and you think they would always go hand in hand, but they don't always.
But yeah, in that case, I think you were just almost like post-traumatic stress. Like you were in a bad place. Like, but yeah, it's that same impact where like rationally you knew that you had done this great thing, but you were fried, and so like you needed rest. You needed to just stop for a long time, I think, maybe, and maybe people didn't understand that. But yeah, but a lot of times. Anyway, we've lost a lot of people this year.
You've definitely said to people who have depression, well, what's the best thing to do and what's the best way to go about it? For those who don't have it, what do you feel is the best way to help people with any of those symptoms?
I think the best way is to mainly understand what I've been talking about. Is to understand that it's not a matter, like I said, it's not a matter of willpower. It's an illness, and it's not something they can just snap out of. It's a matter of understanding. So when they tell you, what's going on, and that's the thing is they may not necessarily tell you what's going on, but if they understand that, especially in the case of like comedians and stuff like that, because you noticed a lot of comedians who are having problems lately, that a lot of times they'll put up a front because that's the only way they know how to deal with something. A lot of times their way of coping with something is they'll try to like push you away or reject you. Understand when somebody is trying to kind of call out for help. And you can tell. You know what I mean? You can tell. And just make yourself available. You don't need to force yourself on them. Like, you don't need to have an intervention or something like that. You don't need to kick down the door and be like, I'm trying to help you. You don't need to have them committed or something like that. But just knowing that somebody cares. Somebody is willing to pick up the phone. That's big. And I think that's a lot of problems is they feel like they don't have anybody to call. Yeah.
There's a time during that time I was talking about where I felt I knew more people with depression, and I said I have a bad habit of what you were talking about, bursting down the door. You need help. I was kind of that person for a bit with some people, and I was told that wasn't the best route to do. And what somebody told me, I wanted to know if you felt sort of the same way. He said the best way to look at it is look at very much if someone falls over a ship or a boat, what do? You don't dive in after them. You throw a life preserver, and they have to grab it because if you were to dive in and save them, you could drown with them. But if you throw the life preserver, they grab it and you pull them in. Would you agree that's a good way of handling it?
Just if you see someone in a rough place, just be like, hey man, are you okay? That's it. And if they say, not really, man, that's pretty much how they'll say it.
It's there's so many things we always see, and we see online too, so many times where somebody can just say something that can just be like just the smallest thing, but it can be like just a dagger, and it can really
Yeah.
stab you in the heart. But there's so many times where someone can say just the nicest little thing, and that can really kind of lift your spirits too.
Yeah, but really, people turn a blind eye to it, or they're afraid to. You'll see it. And I think everyone's guilty of this. You'll see signs of it, and you just kind of ignore it because you don't want to deal with it. It's cowardly, but like all you have to do is just ask. Like, you okay? That's it. That's all it takes. And from there, it's up to that person to say yes or no. Because you have to want help, you have to accept it, but you can't force it. And that's really that's the two-step process. And so you can't blame. I couldn't blame you, and you can't lay blame on me for not accepting the help. But I had to realize that what was going on, and I had to go ask for help. But that's the keys.
Like then, every interview with the two polar opposite questions here. One of them you may have just answered, but let's go ahead and try it. What is the toughest thing you had to do, whether professionally, personally, and most importantly, how'd you get through it?
Putting all that aside, let me try to answer that on a different few issues. Shooting the crossover movies was arduous, but I wouldn't have traded it for the world. Kick-Assy was amazing. I've never run that much in my life over more difficult terrain, but I'm not complaining. That was amazingly cool. I got to see stranger things that I've ever seen in my life. I saw Malasia, which was great. I was one of the only people not to walk away from that injured, which was if any of the places you would have thought I would have been crippled, it would have been Kick-Assy.
You did injure yourself on our front porch, I remember that.
I did, which again was one of the more difficult experiences when I destroyed my foot on your front porch. But I tell people I kicked someone so hard in the ass that I broke my foot. So.
Okay.
No,
everyone in the audience, shh, don't let it get out.
Suburban Nights was incredibly difficult because of the bad weather circumstances. Forced us to shoot everything in like 3 days. We had a week, 3 days. Amazing shoot though. Loved it. Loved that. To Boldly Flee, all the crossover videos were just incredible, but very difficult shoots because we were essentially shooting movies, which take 2-3 weeks in 3 days. But really great working with so many talented people. How did we overcome them? It's because I think we all clicked so well together. Really remarkable how fast friends we became and how much that helped us overcome it. I know that sounds maybe like I'm copping out, but I'm not. I think I'm really proud of the end result of that, and we really overcame a lot of difficulties on the spot. You especially overcame a lot of difficulty when it came to having like this gigantic script, and then on the spot having such difficulties on set, and then paring it down and still coming up with. I mean, you had so many characters to juggle, and being able to still give everyone their moments, and making a fantastic series of videos. I'm very proud of all of them. So yeah, there you go.
Well, that might answer my next question here. Final question. Again, whether professional or personally, what is the proudest thing you've ever done?
Proudest thing I've ever done. To Boldly Flee is really stands out as one of the coolest things I've ever done. Mainly because I'm in a lot of it. No,
though rarely as yourself.
Yeah, I've always said To Boldly Flee has that I'm in almost all of it and I'm in almost none of it. Spoony is not in that movie really. I get sealed in a cardboard box and then I'm just kind of done. But the Ultimate series is I'm really very proud of that. And the Final Fantasy 10 series really worked out well for me. I'm just really proud I've come so far. That people are so supportive and so passionate. I mean, I would not have seen myself here ever. Had I started this out. Like I said, this was completely accidental. Not accidental, but like just unforeseen.
It's strange what hobbies can lead to.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, this, like I said, this started off as like just a fan video, you know, and it completely failed. I had a blue robot that still to this day just sits there because I had nothing to do with it, and I'm just like,
And he's like the icon. He's still next to your title and everything.
yeah, and I'm just like, he's there, and I'm like, oh well. So like I just put him in a video, and you're just like, why is that thing there? I'm like, I don't know. So, but yeah, I'm just it's amazing that people watch, you know, and they find me funny enough to they want to keep watching and they want to hear what I have to say, and I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud that I've managed to entertain people this long, that I've managed to learn so much about, you know, about video making. Just I've managed to learn, you know, and grow. I think so.
Wonderful. This has been Noah Antwiler, and this was Shut Up and Talk. Thank you, and good night. Now, this is where we look at you and we talk to each other, even though the music's going to play over. You're not going to hear what we're saying, so just laugh. Laugh like, right?
That was the most sour cream I've ever ingested in one sitting.
Oh my god, right? And with the pancakes rolled up and shoop them. It's great.
He was wearing his class ring.
Oh god, that's the pain. And, I mean, everybody goes through that, right? But oh my god.
Taco Bell. They put seatbelts on the toilets there.
I know, because it's like,
We had fun.